Hi, boys and girls. I'm glad you joined in on our small reading group. We're going to continue learning about narrative elements. Here we go. Our story that we're reading this week is Pen Pals by Amy Helfer. Our lesson number 2 is narrative elements. Remember, we said there's specific parts or elements of most narrative stories. And the first one is characters. Do you remember what the characters are in our story? Remember, they're going to be people or animals. Then we have setting, when and where the story takes place. The plot, what happens in the story, a beginning, middle, and end. And most narrative stories have problems in them. Something went wrong in the story. And how did it get solved, the solution? Let's get back into our story, and the way we do that, students, is by rereading, reading the story again up to where we left off yesterday. Make sure your eyes are on the text and that you're tracking with your eyes, or if you need something else to track with, you can use that too. Let's begin. Miss Shea asked, "Who knows what a pen pal is?" A few kids raised their hands. "A pen pal is someone you write letters to," said Luke. "A pen pal is someone you don't know," added Nell. "You're both right," said Miss Shea. "Each of you will get a pen pal from another school. Your pen pal will write you a letter. Then you will write back." The class buzzed with excitement. Katie hoped her pen pal would be a girl. Now let's look at some of our narrative elements. So to review the narrative elements that we found in the last lesson, think about the characters that were in the story just on the pages that we reread right now. Do you remember their names? If you said Miss Shea, the teacher, Luke, Nell, and Katie, and they were all classmates. How about the setting? Where did the story take place in the beginning? At school in Miss Shea's classroom, absolutely. And here we have the plot, the beginning, middle, and end. And that was just the beginning. So if you wanted to paraphrase or summarize the beginning, you just tell the main events that happened. And we said Miss Shea told the class they were going to get a pen pals. They were going to get pen pals. And Katie hoped her pen pal would be a girl. Now let's continue to read. Let's continue in our story on page 6. Your eyes should be on the text and try to read the words along with me. "My pen pal is a girl, and she sounds nice," said Katie. "Now it's my turn to write to her." "Okay," said Katie's mom. "You can mail your letter on the way to school tomorrow." March 11th, Dear Serena, I got your letter today. I am in the 3rd grade at the Harris School. I'm so glad that we are pen pals. I have a 6-year-old sister. We share a room. I wish I could have a pet, but dogs and cats make me sneeze. I like to write stories, and I just love sports. I'm going to join a soccer team. Write back soon. Your pen pal, Katie Reed. On her way to school the next day, Katie dropped her letter in a mailbox. At school, she signed up for the soccer team. Miss Shea walked by and saw Katie signing up. "Good for you, Katie," she said. "Did you know I'm coaching the team?" "That's great," said Katie. "In a few weeks, we will have our first game against the Adams School," said Miss Shea. Katie was excited. Serena went to the Adams School. Maybe she would be in the crowd cheering her school on. When class began, Miss Shea asked the students to tell about their pen pals. Katie said, "My pen pal is named Serena. She goes to the Adams School." "My pen pal is named Chris," said Luke, "but I don't know if Chris is a boy or a girl." Everyone laughed. Then Miss Shea said, "That gives me an idea. I'll take photos of you to send to your pen pals. Then maybe your pen pals can send photos to you. So now let's look at our narrative elements again, and notice that you can add characters as you go along in the story. You can change the setting. And of course, now you just don't have the beginning of the plot, but we have the middle of the plot. So who are our characters? Well, we know that we had Miss Shea, Luke, Nell, and Katie in the beginning of the story. Did we add any new characters to the story during this middle part that we just read? Yes, we added Katie's mom, and now we have Serena, Katie's pen pal. How about the setting? We started at school in Miss Shea's classroom. Did the setting change? Yes, Katie went home, and then she went back to school in the hallway and in her classroom. And how about the plot? We did the beginning of the plot was that Miss Shea told the class they were going to get pen pals, and Katie hoped her pen pal would be a girl. The beginning of the plot was that first Miss Shea told the class they were going to get pen pals, and Katie hoped her pen pal would be a girl. You may stop the video at this time and go ahead and write down what happened in the middle of this story. Remember, you don't need to add every little detail, just the main things that happened. So go ahead and do that now, and then let's see how your summary of the middle part is the same or different as mine. Let's look now at the middle of the story. My summary of the middle of the story was that next, Katie found out her pen pal was a girl named Serena, and they wrote to each other. Katie found out that Serena went to Adam's school, and then as Katie was signing up to play soccer, Miss Shea told Katie that their first game would be at Adam's school, and Katie was so excited. Notice the two words that I put first when I'm telling about my plot. I used the word first, and that let you know what part of the story that I was telling you about. Then as I transition, as I go on to the next part of the plot, the middle, I use a new transitional word. I chose next because that comes after first. I was very excited to check my email and see that some of you boys and girls actually wrote to me. And by now you should have gotten an email back to you. If you haven't already done so, there's my email address in red, and I can't wait to hear from you. A new idea for today's email could be, write and tell me about a book you are reading. Not that we're reading together, pen pals, but a different book. Then I can write back and tell you about a great book I'm reading. I look forward to seeing your emails. Now we're going to have a 1-minute activity. And my students, and I think most of you second graders know how to do this, but it's learning how to manipulate sounds, and we will practice that. An example will be me, I will say goat. You will say goat. And then I'll say, now say goat, but instead of t, say z. And then you should say goes. Instead of goat, you change the t to z, goes. Are you ready? Let's do some together. Here we go. Say coat. I say it out loud. I got to hear you. You know I can still hear you, right? Coat. Now say coat, but instead of t, say d. Code. Correct. Say hose. Now say hose, but instead of z, say p. Hope. Good. Say let. Now say let, but instead of t, say d. Led. Correct. Say them. Now say them, but instead of say n. Lead, correct. Say seen. Now say seen, but instead of n, say t. Seat. Good job. Say mop. Now say mop, but instead of p, say mom. Way to go. Say 6. Now say 6, but instead of x, say t. Sit. Great. Say jug. Now say jug, but instead of g, say j. Judge. Very good. Say ban. Now say ban, but instead of n, say k. Back. Say hub. Now say hub, but instead of b, say t. Hut. Say mood. Now say mood, but instead of d, say n. Moon. Say sip. Now say sip, but instead of p, say t. Sit. Say road. Now say road, but instead of d, say Rome. Say phase. Now say phase, but instead of z, say d. Fade. Say come. Now say come, but instead of say p. Cup. Say quiz. Now say quiz, but instead of z, say t. Quit. Say peace. Now say peace, but instead of s, say ch. Peach. Say guess. Now say guess, but instead of s, say t. Get. Great job, boys and girls. Now, my boys and girls have learned to do this, and I'm sure some of you are going to pick this right up if you haven't already done it in your room. But I wrote out lists of words that are very similar to each other, but they just change the vowel, or they make that E at the end with the I, with the vowel -E, so the vowel is long. I want you to try, and you might have to start out slower, but I want you to try to read these words as quickly as you can, manipulating the sounds correctly. Now, I will do it first so you can hear how they're supposed to sound, excuse me. Bat, bit, bite, bag, butt, bun, burn, big, bait, buy, boat, boar, bear, brat, bug, barn, bin, bind, that's always a hard one, huh? Bend, band, bond, blonde, brand, bring, bang, brought, bright. Number 2, cut, cute, cap, cape, clap, cot, coat, coast, cat, cop, cope, cold, cloud, crowd, crow, clip, crept, creep, core, cord, care, caught. Stop the video and practice this at least 2 times, but try to do it until you can say it very quickly and still making all those sounds correct.